Hello, everyone. Stephanie here from Serene Clean, and a very warm welcome to you and a thank you for sitting in on my 2025 Made Summit presentation, which is going to be all about training at Serene Clean. A big thank you to ZenMade, as always, for hosting the virtual Made Summit. This is actually my fourth talk with them, and my first one back in the day was all about how I grew Serene Clean in 2 years from 0 to 800K. Now we are here 6 years later, still in business. Fabulous, right? And you may recognize me from a variety of things, and I am very grateful for you guys clocking in to my talk. And I hope it brings a lot of value to you. As I mentioned, it's going to be about training and training for quality and systematizing everything as much as possible. So my actual topic is how I built a 7-figure, 30-person-ish cleaning team that goes 4 months with 0 complaints. And we actually had an 11-week streak so far this year in 2025 with no complaints. The quality has been truly astounding from my team, and I 100% attribute it to, well, several things, but one of the main ones is going to be the training revamp that I'm going to be discussing with you guys today. So, little overview of our roadmap and what we are going to cover in this presentation. So if you do not know who I am, my name is Stephanie Pipkin, and I opened Serene Clean when I was 22 years old as a solo cleaner in very rural Western Wisconsin. I grew Serene Clean over the years to a 3-location, 7-figure business. We crossed the $1 million per year milestone by year 3. So it grew incredibly fast, especially in such a rural area. And I had no business ownership experience, obviously. I'd previously worked at my parents' company. I had been a waitress for since I was 14. That paid for my tech school education. I don't have a 4-year degree or anything like that. And if you want to hear about the painstaking history of Serene Clean, I highly recommend heading over to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast episode numero uno, where I go through all of the details. We ain't got time for that. That's not the point of this, but I'm trying to tell you, if you don't know who I am, you can go there and find it. I moved to remote ownership by year 4 while maintaining a strong company culture. Right in this moment, I am sitting in Savannah, Georgia. My business is in Wisconsin. And then, as I mentioned, I started the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast in January of 2025. And we put out 2 new episodes every single week where I share conversations with other owners or folks in our industry, as well as a lot of solo episodes, 1 solo episode every single week, talking about different situations that I'm going through right now as the owner of Serene Clean, or that we're going through in the business, lessons learned, just thoughts in general. If you like my kind of loosey-goosey, silly vibe, you'll probably like the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. And so just navigating all of the challenges that come at us at Serene Clean continuously and sharing along the way. So moving on about training for excellence, and why is it so hard? Well, there's very concrete reasons why training is so freaking challenging in our industry. First and foremost, you're cleaning. Yes, that's me cleaning, washing a wall several years ago. And when you're cleaning, it is very difficult to give proper attention to training while at paying clients' homes, because you are trying to get through the home at the same amount of time. You might probably have multiple appointments in the day. You're also managing all your other staff, all the clients hitting you up, cleaners hitting you up, your kids' school hitting you up, all of these things. And you're trying to also train and teach somebody, which takes time and it slows you down, right? So you're probably distracted. You are also probably letting them go clean by themselves in the same home because you simply don't have the time. It's also hard to test for comprehension when you yourself are trying to get through the houses, right? Like, we're telling them something, we're showing them something, and then it's hard to know, like, are they actually getting it? Because we're just trying to move through the day. We're trying to get through the day. We're trying to pump them out into the field as fast as possible because we are dying, right? We're dying. And then finally, it's hard to make the time to quality control or track progress because you are exhausted. And all of this to say, that's exactly how I was doing it for years. Number 2, high turnover. And this little picture is a screenshot of one of my pages in Gusto, which is our HR software that we use. Starting over repeatedly with a new hire becomes more and more demoralizing. And I know I'm preaching to the choir right now. And this is something we feel literally to this day, current day of, oh my gosh, we have to start over again. We have to start over again. We have to start over again. So you keep getting pulled back into the field, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. And it's very easy to fall into what I like to call warm body syndrome and kick the can down the road, get the cleanings covered and deal with bad training later. And that's exactly what we did for years. And then finally, inconsistency. And this is a beautiful before and after by my cleaner Ihata. So what I mean by inconsistency is in a couple different ways. So each new hire is seeing different homes, levels of clutter / buildup tasks, which is leaving gaps between each staff member. And this was a common thing for us as our new staff were not seeing deep clean tasks enough. So that finally 6 months from now, when they're finally on a move out clean or whatever, and they saw an oven once 6 months ago, right? And then they get a complaint and we're like, why did you get this complaint? You were shown an oven. They're like, actually, no, I wasn't shown what I needed to be shown. And then finally, it was hard to cover the same information for every new hire when we are relying on memory or instinct. So when you are bringing on a new staff member one week and you're telling them what you're telling them or your trainer is, and then the next week it's all going off of like remembering what to cover, that means that, again, there's probably inconsistencies on the information being shared or how it's being shared. And that opens you up to not knowing across the board, does your team all understand the same stuff? And that really was like, it was really showcasing ourselves very strongly, this particular point, when we reached the tipping point of like, no, enough's enough, we're redoing this thing, right? That's why it's so hard. But what are the results when we do improper training? Number 1, complaints are most likely to occur on newer cleaners, meaning more recleans, more refunds. And that's what I was just kind of mentioning earlier of like, we may be cleaning, right? And that may not be the most fun, whatever. However, we're not having to re-clean stuff we already did. We're not having to give refunds. We're not having to deal with angry customers. Number 2 pain is codependent cleaners equals no confidence, hand-holding and quitting due to overwhelm. These things happen so much when somebody is not improperly trained because they don't have confidence to figure themselves out, to figure out problems or situations because they've never seen them. And they were kind of thrown to the wolves, as I like to call it, or thrown to the sharks, whatever wild animal you would like to throw your staff to. So that means they're going to be messaging you constantly. Third pain point is going to be switching cleaners on a client becomes much more frustrating to them. So when you have inconsistent training, then your clients are going to be even more upset when they have to get a new cleaner, because at the end of the day, all of our clients are going to have another cleaner at some point, right? Because all cleaners leave eventually, right? So how can we reduce that friction and that pain point as much as possible? And then finally, discontent among team. Expectations become a point of argument and drama, especially if we're talking about team cleans or a cleaner coming in and filling in for another. And they're like, whoa, what's been going on here? Or, whoa, her bathrooms are crappy and I always have to redo her work. Or they always, do XYZ at a cleaning with me. And it's really frustrating because it's just not the highest quality, or they don't follow the start and end procedures the same, because there is no start and end procedures. We're just all going off of vibes. So all of this can open the door for your team members being angry at each other. And if that's happening, it's your fault. It's your fault because you have not established proper training and standardized expectations across the board. We're treating cleaners differently, or we allow things from different cleaners, and that cannot be. So remember, you can start small and apply what you can from what I'm about to cover. Okay. I want you to think about this. I have been in business for 6 years now. Until year 5.5, this thing that I'm about to show you did not exist. Yet we were still able to have a wildly successful business without doing everything I'm about to show you. you're also just going to have more headaches than necessary. That's the point we are trying to make here, is like, you can do it in less efficient ways. You can do it in other ways. You can do it in less of a focused effort, 100%, because that's what we were doing for years, and it worked out pretty darn good. But as we grew and added more cleaners and went through more turnover and just experiencing so many headaches, we're like, there's got to be a better way. So I would love to establish what we got right even before the system. So these are all things that you guys can focus on. If you don't listen to any other thing I say after this slide, well, you're going to hurt my feelings, one. But two, these are the things that we already had in place. So if you look down below, 2024 complaint rate, that's before we had this training system, 0.4%. 0.4%. We had 8,613 appointments last year, and we had 38 total complaints. Not too shabby, right? 2025, it is July 15th when I am recording this. We are at 4,191 appointments this year, and we have had 13 total complaints. We, like I mentioned, had an 11-week streak of 0 complaints, which prompted this whole presentation. I was like, okay, there's something there I need to teach people about. So we are at a 0.3% complaint rate as of this year. So very small improvement, but I mean, when you're already pretty excellent, little tiny improvements in percentages, that makes a big impact. And we're definitely feeling that from an operational standpoint. So year 0 through 2. So right when I started, I just kind of want to give you guys like what the state of the union was. I would literally hire somebody. They would maybe see 2 houses with me, and then they're on their own. They're on their own because Stephanie's cleaning too. So I'd throw them to the wolves. It was very few days of training. Either they sunk or they swam, and I was left picking up the pieces and trailing behind the chaos, cleaning up after all the shitty cleans, right? Year 3 to 5, they would tag along with any cleaner that was competent until they seemed ready / we were forced to put them into the field. So this was a lot more structured, meaning they would see like several days, but they would just go with any old cleaner that was comfortable training. And that meant that it was very hard to actually see where people were at when it came to progress and making sure that they were actually seeing everything that they needed to see. Coming back to the why is it so hard? That's still where we were at. And then finally, year 6 and beyond, where we are now, we have a dedicated trainer, we have control home cleanings, and we have comprehension checks to make sure that they are indeed ready and actually got the info into their noggin and they're not just nodding along, right, to get through it. So we had 4 specific areas that I believe we did really well prior to implementing this new training system, which allowed us to have this really low complaint rate. It was more an operational chaos thing that we were dealing with internally from the improper training, as I would still label it. So number 1, emphasis on quality from day 1. This means we used extensive cleaning checklists that we would train off of. So at the end of the day, our cleaning checklist is the anchor. That is the Bible. That is a ride or die. This is the truth, is you complete this cleaning checklist, right? And so that having that anchor, it really helped despite all of the chaos that was going around of did you complete the checklist? Did you fill it out? Number 2 is low / no tolerance for poor quality. Even if I had to go back and clean, even if I had to do XYZ, very low tolerance. So the ones who had poor quality consistently, they were gone. Whether they quit or they got fired, they were gone, because I'm just like, this is my baby. This is my name. That is not okay. And there's a difference between making a mistake or missing something and it was done because of them not being shown properly or just needing to be shown in a different way, versus blatant disregard for the standard and just either laziness or not give a shitting through your life. That wasn't okay. Number 2 is going to be clear expectations. I really laid out very specific expectations. And the first place to start with that is really simplifying what packages or types of cleanings that we offer. 2, you got 2 options. This is either a standard cleaning or this is a deep cleaning. And all of you may be thinking, oh, that's a basic clean then. No. This is why it's so important that we define what different words mean to us in our cleaning business, because I say standard cleaning checklist, you hear basic potentially. Serene Clean standard cleaning is most people's deep cleaning, right? And we do that at every single house. The only difference between, for us, a standard clean and a deep clean is the interiors of things. So we're talking appliances, we're talking cabinets, we're talking closets, because a deep clean can only for us be performed in a vacant home. It's basically a move out or move in clean, a post-construction clean, things like that, where we can get inside everything. Number two, when it comes to clear expectations, is going to be high levels of communication as a team. We are talking to each other constantly. And when I say team, this is what I mean. And what I see a lot of new owners do is they are texting cleaners individually, texting cleaners individually, texting cleaners individually. And obviously you need to have direct private communication with each of your staff members. However, if there is not a central communication zone, whether that be, for us, it was a Facebook Messenger chat. Now we have Slack, so a team channel, or, whatever, WhatsApp you have. You need to have a place that you can communicate to your entire team so that when a complaint comes in or a policy changes or you're changing something, you need to be able to put that out as a team or have discussions as a team. And then finally, sharing praise and complaints quickly and as a team. So as I mentioned, those team meetings, as well as our Slack channel, we are sharing things very quickly. So every Monday, we go over all of the positive feedback that we've received, both from emails, texts from clients, verbally, if they're going to call us, or also obviously the reviews and feedback online. We're going to share that as a team. We also share that immediately in our Slack channel to shout out that individual cleaner. And then we're also putting it on social media too. So there's just a lot of positivity when it comes to like getting your pats and attaboys and attagirls, because it feels good. And then complaints we talk about as a team. We never call the person out, but it's more so like, we had this problem, we're seeing this, how can we solve this together as a team? Or do we need some reminders on how to do this thing? Or maybe if we're getting complaints on a particular type of task, we need to take a look at why is this happening. Number three, training was a team effort. So cleaners always quality check each other's work. And that has been from day one, me checking whoever I'm with, them checking my work, seeing if they can catch anything that we can improve on, either or. And just in general, we run individual cleaners, but if you are with another cleaner at Serene Clean, you are checking each other work. That's just part of the culture. And that way nobody gets offended. It's the expectation. Like if they aren't checking each other's work, then that's a reason you're going to get in trouble. We are trying to constantly level up each other and make sure that we are both, meaning me and my coworker, if I'm on a team clean, doing everything to standard. Because at the end of the day, if bad feedback comes back, that's on our clean, right? I was expected to check it. Why didn't I check it? And that way so you don't get a complaint. I'd rather, do a little QC on my coworker, catch it, nip that thing in the bud so that it doesn't even get to the client's eyes, right? And then secondarily, any proficient cleaner was expected to train prior. So because any of our cleaners were expected to be able to train, it just made it feel like we were all working in on this together. But there was a lot of negatives to that as well. It got us through where we needed to go until we could have a dedicated trainer, which a lot of you just can't yet. We could not afford that, or it just wasn't the priority at the time to figure out how that could even be. And then finally, a strong leadership presence. So constant quality checks. We have a very robust quality check system. Every single staff member is getting checked on a regular basis. Every commercial account is getting checked on a quarterly basis in person, as well as email check-ins once a month, because commercial is such a heavy hitter for us. It's 50% of our revenue. Secondarily, we constantly requesting feedback, like I said, in those emails to commercial accounts, but as well as the service ratings request in ZenMaid. That's super useful to open the door for people to give us feedback. And then finally, consistent reminders of why quality and communication are crucial. I feel like that is one of my strengths, is explaining the why behind all of Serene Clean and what we're all about, and that it's not just about cleaning. We're helping people, we're changing people's lives, we're giving to our communities, and we are trying to be the best workplace ever. And so every time I can tie high quality cleaning and communication to exactly how that helps my cleaners, reach their goals, whatever that they might be. For example, we cannot charge high rates if we're getting complaints all the time, because we're not giving what the customers deserve. We're going to have people cancel. They're going to talk because we're in a small town, and bad news travels much faster than good news, and word of mouth can work very much against you. And so if we can implore to our cleaners, like why having high standards is actually a benefit for them. And the only reason we've been able to raise wages and give all these great benefits and be a great workplace and donate to all of these organizations is because we're super picky and we have very high standards and we have to have low complaints. Then all of a sudden, like they are feeling like there's a reason behind this. I'm not just a cog in the machine. Like we have purpose and reason behind just, I'm going to get in trouble if I get a complaint. It's more like take some pride in your work and it feels really good to do good work. If everything was going pretty darn good, as you can see, we were killing it in a lot of ways. Why did we need this training revamp if such low complaints? And the simple answer is, we were feeling the operational chaos of inconsistent training. We were feeling the pain heavily enough that said, if we grew more, the pulling out our hair frustrations would grow too if we didn't do an overhaul. And that's really what we were experiencing. We're so frustrated with just the nonstop questions and neediness, and it wasn't their fault. They weren't taught or understood how to problem solve necessarily, as well as when we did get a complaint, it was so frustrating, especially on something we're like, why wasn't this covered in training? What you're seeing right now is our training flow sheet, which is literally how it is spelled out for new hires and what they need to go through. And so this was the first thing we kind of conceptualized when we revamped our training program. So as you can see, that everybody comes through orientation, control home 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then depending on if they are primary residential or primary commercial, they will go on different paths from there. So residential path 1 through 2, down through seeing some commercial as well as vacation rental if needed, or if they're primary commercial, they made it through that first, 1 through 4, and then go through the commercial path 1 through 3, and then some vacation rental if needed. Because some people, they just simply don't need to see vacation rentals because they will never be assigned to them, right? So we don't want to waste time there. Now we have this flow sheet made. We need structure at every single point of this. So it's like, once we created this, it was like, oh shit, like we're looking at like a lot of work to do because every single one of these steps needs to be detailed out. And, a lot of it might be like a lot of work, like making up quizzes and things. That's a lot of work. And testing them and making sure that we set up the control homes the right way. So couple questions you might have is, how long does training take now that you're looking at this? And training timelines are totally dependent on the new hire's availability. So if we have somebody who's really part-time versus somebody who's like available 40 hours a week, obviously we can make it through this path a lot faster when they have more time available. You might also be wondering, why the heck do commercial cleaners go through residential training? And for us, commercial clients are, as I mentioned, 50% of our business. And we do not want the quality to be significantly lower than residential. And this is one of those pain points that we really discovered, is doing all of our quality checks on our commercial, like the cleanings were just not what we wanted them to be, and not across the board, but enough to say like they're not being shown the detail. And I don't know if you guys know what I mean by the eye, but like where you can walk into a room and like there, like everybody watching most likely has the eye, right? And you can train the eye, but you need to like actually train it. And that's by like going through detailed cleaning. Otherwise, they're not going to notice. They're just not going to see what they need to see. And a lot of our commercial cleaners were just not seeing what we needed them to see in order for our quality to be up to Serene Clean standards. First and foremost, the first day that somebody joins our team, they are going to go through our orientation and software onboarding. And that takes approximately 6 hours. And then I'm going to call it days, but really it's not days because it just depends. But for lack of better phrasing, I'm going to use that word because it could be, for example, once we get to residential 1, 2 plus, that could be 1 day, that could be 2 days, that could be 3 days. I don't know. It just depends on the schedule. So let's just go at phases. So first and foremost, let me establish what the control homes are. I have 3 managers and their homes are the control homes. And those are the homes that we use for every single new hire. And this is what I'm talking about of like the consistency. This is crucial for consistency because we know now that every new person is seeing the exact same homes in the exact same state with the exact same scenarios built in. And we'll talk about that at a later slide. But it just allowed us to control the variables of this particular thing, as well as fix the other problem, which is these are not paying clients' houses, right? So you may not be able to do this right now. Can you do one control home? On to day 2, or this would be technically day 3 if we're talking about a standard week. Control home 2, again, manager home, but this time the trainee is going to clean and the trainer watches the entire time and they provide feedback immediately. This is super important. All start and end procedures are completed by the trainee from this point forward, all throughout all of the training process, because now this is practice. They saw it once, practice and be watched. And that's really the concept that we're looking at here. Is they are explained everything. They're explained a lot of stuff in orientation as well, of expectations and checklists and all of this stuff. And then they are shown day 1 in a home, and then the next day in the home there to do it and be watched and corrected immediately. This is really important that you don't wander off and clean some other room because it's hard to watch. Okay, it's super important that you watch their process because of all of the things I mentioned previously. Control home 3 is our final manager home. The trainee cleans, the trainer watches entire time, provides feedback immediately. So it's just like control home 2, right? We're making sure we're getting in the reps of watching how they clean, how they go about things. As they have questions, we can fix it immediately, right? We need to have that feedback loop be very, very fast. At this point, we pause and we take our first comprehension quiz, or really it is the residential comprehension quiz first take. They're going to have 2 shots at this, and this is the first one. There is 45 questions that cover the gamut of everything to do with the start and end procedures, how to behave, expectations, how to clock in, blah, 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 and how to handle different situations. So they're going to take that once, and then as you can see, they're going to take that again after they are done with all of their residential training. And then we move on to our final control home, which is going to be a client home. However, it's going to most likely be a client that is fully aware that this is what this cleaning is. We will offer at a discounted rate. So this could be a great solution for you if you're looking for a client control homes, is offer cleanings at a discounted rate or free if you're able to do that. And this is where the trainee completes the kitchen while being watched, because for us, the kitchen is the most difficult room. You know, of course, it's the most time consuming, a lot of room for error in kitchens. So we want them to be watched and make sure that that's all good. And then they are going to clean at least 1 bathroom, 1 bedroom, and 1 living space. And they're going to be checked after completion of each room. So this is the first step towards independence of you are cleaning, I come back and check, because the trainer is going to be cleaning other areas. But again, we want to make sure that they're completing at least 1 of each of these types of rooms and then checked after each one. And then finally, this is where we split pass. And on this screen here, I am going over a mostly residential path. If they are commercial, you can go back to the flow sheet and see how they're going to go through that. But for us, just for ease of use, I'm going to go over just residential. So if they're mostly residential, now they are going to go through residential number 1, number 2, plus. So residential number 1 is going to be going with a different cleaner to a client home. So this is the first time that they are going with another cleaner in Serene Clean outside of Hannah, who is my dedicated trainer right now. So the trainee is going to clean independently the kitchen, the largest bathrooms, and 1 dry room. So like a living room or a bedroom or something. And they are going to check in every 30 minutes with the trainer to touch base, see how the timing is going, make sure the quality of each space is good. But they are now, basically like team cleaning, if you will, but just getting checked very hardcore. And again, they're doing the start and end procedures as well. And then, so that's at least 1 house. And then finally, they are going to repeat residential number 1, at least at 1 other home. And this is where they're going to split up the home fairly, whatever that looks like in that team. Most likely, they're still going to do the kitchen and at least 1 bathroom, right? So, and then this can be repeated as much as we feel necessary. This is where it's like checking in here. That's why we say 2+. They need to see at least 2 regular clients' houses before we are ready to test them and see if they are ready to move on to commercial. Okay, from there, they are going to do their final take of the residential comprehension quiz. And they need to have at least, I think, 80% pass rate to make it through for us and move on to commercial, which is going to include the commercial orientation video, which is much, much shorter than our standard orientation. It just kind of goes over what the differences are in commercial. And from there, we want all of our residential cleaners to see at least 1 to 3 commercial spaces. So in a commercial 1, 2, and 3, the trainee and the trainer are both there. But at commercial 1, the trainee and the trainer are in the same room cleaning so that the trainer can explain the differences, show them anything. Sometimes we have to use different cleaning supplies and tools at commercial spaces. So it's important that they are near each other so that they can ask questions. And then finally, commercial 2 and 3 plus. So wherever they need to see, depending on what they are going to be expected to be doing in their normal schedule, the trainee cleans independently, and then they just check in every 30 minutes with the trainer. And of course, everything's getting QC'd. And then finally, the commercial comprehension quiz happens, which is just 17 questions. Again, a lot shorter because they've already seen like how to do things at Serene Clean. This is just commercial specific of like how to handle commercial that is different than residential. And then finally, they are going to go through vacation rental orientation and immediately take the comprehension quiz. It's very short. It's just, again, what is different about vacation rentals? What is a vacation rental? What do we do at them? That is wildly different than normal residential or commercial. And as I mentioned, if there's no chance of them going through vacation rentals and cleaning them, we won't put them through this and waste time. We can always, if their schedule changes, like, oh, you're going to go into vacation rentals, then we can always come back and have them do this if it's needed. So if they are going to see them, they're going to see at least one, and the trainee cleans independently, checking in every 30 minutes with the trainer, because at this point they're ready to go, right? This is just to make sure that they understand the nuances of vacation rentals. That's it. We're done. That's it. As if this was easy. This means that they are ready to go. We are checking in with them. They should be 100% good to go independently. But we are going to be frequently quality checking on them, as well as doing check-ins via message or touching base, making sure that they're doing good every single week for at least the first month, and be like, how you doing? What issues are you having? Where are you not feeling confident? Do you feel like you need training on anything or see anything else? So this is what the path looks like. Again, this is for a mostly residential, but all of our employees are truly expected to be able to go into a commercial space or a residential space in a pinch, so that we have the most malleability and flexibility with the schedule. Because we have so much daytime commercial, we need to be able to take a house cleaner and put them into a business and be able to clean it, right? It's not ideal, but we need to get the schedule covered, and they know that they are expected to be able to do that. That's explained. From teaching tasks to training thinkers. This is one of the other things I really want to go over, is that before we would explain most situations hypothetically and hope that the trainee would remember when it arose in the future. And spoiler alert, they never do, because they were only told it and not shown it. It is so important for people to be able to retain information, to be shown, not just told. So now we build these scenarios into the training so that they experience how to handle it, creating that confident, competent new hires who are ready for the unexpected to be thrown at them, whatever that might be, because this is the whole point of this particular section. Remember those control homes we were just talking about? Every single manager has a list of things that they are to prepare their home for, so that the cleaner, the trainer and the trainee run into the scenarios, and the trainer can teach in that moment as the thing is happening, or as they come across the thing, what to do. So see, these are some of the examples. As you can see, that lovely fake poop in Crystal's hand in that image right there, that you can buy fake poop on Amazon. I would recommend fake, and she will leave that in the living room at her house. And so how do we deal with feces at houses? What's the expectation? Money not indicated as a tip left on a counter. Ooh, how do we handle that? What if it is listed as a tip? Then how do we handle that? A visible camera, noting that we could be being recorded at any time. So it's a great, visceral reminder. Notes requesting out of scope work, whether that be on the ladder or some other thing that we don't do. Fake blood, dishes in the sink, cluttered surfaces, damaged surfaces like chips in a sink. How do we document that? A broken picture frame, products with bleach requested to be used. We don't use bleach products, so how do we handle that? We lock them out of a house. How do you deal with what you are to do when you are locked out? Because used to be, they would call us in the office and then we would have to call the cleaner, or I'm sorry, the client, as the cleaner just stood there. No, the cleaner is to try to reach out to the client in multiple ways and then let us know that they did those things and that they're waiting their, allotted 15 minutes. We explode tomato sauce in a microwave. How do we deal with buildup, like heavy buildup in a microwave? All deep clean tasks are covered 4 times, as I mentioned. So that is 4 times more than they used to see, right? And then how to deal with electronics cleaning, as well as pet areas being messy, and then just the topic of pets in general. And I'm sure I'm missing some other things as well, but these were the ones that came to mind. I'm saying all of these things because I want you to know what in your business you want people to do when these things happen. How do we handle this? And that's what I love so much about like this revamp. It really forced us to go through with excruciating, painful detail. How do we want people to behave in all of these weird situations at Serene Clean? And so how do we build those things into training so that they are more likely to know how to behave in your business way, in the Serene Clean way, right? So that's why these things are so important to have in your training process. And then finally, our secret weapon, trainer and trainee feedback reports every single day. That's right. Every single day, the new hire and the trainer, they fill out a Google form requesting their feedback on how the day went, how they felt they did, one thing they did well, one thing that they could do better. How was the communication with the trainee versus the trainer? Did they interact with the client? How did that go? How are they feeling? Just like checking in on them. And how this came to be is I had an absolute nightmare new hire slip through the cracks of multiple of my staff members, because my staff members don't like to be seen as snitches. They're like, I'm not going to be a tattletale. And they had this new person that went with 4 or 5 of my staff members, and they all thought, wow, she's having a bad day. She's having a bad day. I'm just assuming we all have bad days, but you don't have 5 bad days in a row. That's a pattern, right? That's a red flag that we didn't see because we did not have the vessel for our staff members to provide that feedback that didn't feel awkward to them, because they weren't going to come to us and be like, hey, FYI, these things, and they might, but they felt uncomfortable. So we wanted to encourage them and give them a place to put that and say, actually, we need to know this so that we know what's going on. Or maybe that new hire needs help in a certain area and they just don't feel comfortable saying it. So this allows them to put that out there, and also for us to see how they're doing. And so all of this to say, I know I've talked for a long time, but I have about 10 more hours of content related to this particular thing that I could talk about. I just don't have the time. And so what my offer is for you guys, if you are interested in exploring our training system further, is going to be my training bundle. And this is something that I have put together this year, and it's gotten a lot of great feedback. And I know it's already helped a lot of you, for any of you that have purchased this. And it includes every detail along that path that I showed you, as well as the instructions for how to implement them. And so that's going to include the control home checklist 1 through 4 for real world practice. It's going to include the start and end procedures for all job types, which is super duper valuable. You guys are going to love that. And it's really going to help your cleaners have structure for everything around the actual cleaning itself, right? So that they are feeling good about what they are supposed to be doing. The manager deep clean task assignments, you might not have managers, so it could just be in your home or the control home. The daily experience report for trainee and the trainer templates. So those are going to be those Google forms that I described earlier, where they're providing that daily feedback, as well as the training quiz templates with, dozens and dozens of questions that you can tweak, of course, to reflect your own policies and procedures. The flow sheet to track progress at a glance, which is what I showed you. Complete access to our 6-hour-long orientation and the commercial and vacation rental orientation. Personally, that orientation is worth this price, like by itself. So I'm not trying to be braggy here. Like, that's how valuable that orientation will be, because it's not just an orientation. It's giving you every single detail of every single policy that is included in Serene Clean. It shows you how we deal with all of those situations. It explains how to do that, as well as just gives you a really fantastic expert layout of like how your cleaners are going to experience your company, and really helps you. Honestly, you're going to hate going through the orientation because you're like, oh shit, I need to figure out how I want to do this. But the nice thing is you can just copy how we did it, for now, or come back to it and revisit it in the future. But it's going to show you everything about Serene Clean that you could possibly want to know. Honestly, it's really, really valuable. And I feel very proud. It took us so long to make. Daily notes templates to ensure the communication is there, as well as like a full 5-page start here instructional guide for seamless use of how to use this bundle and implement it in your business. The staff hiring, termination, and training checklist spreadsheet where we track to make sure that we did everything we need to do, put them in all the softwares, where they're at. And just there's a lot of stuff that you have to do when it comes to hiring somebody, firing somebody, or to see where they're at in training. So we basically dump the feedback and see where they're at. And then finally, you also get our standard in deep clean checklist for you to edit to your heart's content. So all of that to say, if you are interested, I am offering you an exclusive coupon code, and that is going to be Summit100. So SUMMIT 100. You will get $100 off of the training bundle if you're interested. But again, you don't have to buy anything from me. I hope that you can take enough nuggets here that it will be valuable to you either way. And of course, you can always ask questions in the talk commentary below, or if you're watching this a long time from now, I'm just going to leave this going for forever. So if you're watching this in 2027 or beyond, whenever you're watching this, this will just be live for you to take advantage since you took the time to watch this. And then finally, I do want to show you a little peek at our orientation so that you can see everything that we cover. I mean, it's just every possible topic that you could possibly want to explain in your business, or things you've not even thought of that we have, because we've gone through the ringer at Serene Clean and we just cover so many things. And it could also give you some inspiration of things like benefits that you want to incorporate, and show you how we do those things in a tiered structure. So I just wanted to give you a little razzle dazzle sneak peek. And then finally, to wrap up, I just want you guys to envision a business that you don't want to escape from. I know a lot of you are burned out. I was burned out, right? I know a lot of you are wondering, like, is this what I should be doing? And, owning a business is not for most people. That is 100% the fact. It takes so much grit. It takes so much perseverance. There is a future in which you can exist and love your business, that you can feel like you are following your life purpose and it's not killing you. That is absolutely possible. And as I always say, we eat an elephant one bite at a time. So I want you to take a few of these suggestions, even if you're like, nope, training bundle's not for me. Totally fine, guys. I want you to take some of these suggestions that I have laid out in this presentation. Can you implement one of them? Can we fit in a control home? Could we track where everybody is in their training and see what the issues are if we're having multiple people train? Can we create some basic start and end procedures? If you're like, nope, I can do this alone, can we do that? And, every micro improvement will add up, and you will find a lot of times you're like, this doesn't seem like it's going to make a difference. But once you do 100 of those little tweaks, then you're finally realizing you're not drowning, and now you're treading water, right? And it's not perfect, but it's better. And that's all we can hope for in our business, like on a daily basis, is, can I make this a little better? Can I make this a little better? So that when we have crazy turnover, well, you know what? I'm really grateful that I'm not dealing with complaints. At least I'm not having to go re-clean. I'm not having to do refunds. Like, at least I have this freaking stronghold foundation of quality. And I have confident cleaners who are able to do their job without constantly needing us to answer their questions. And it's not to say I don't want them to ask questions. It's more so like, if a question is being asked repeatedly, how can we build that answer into the training process so that they can reflect back on that, or have the resources readily available so that they can answer their own question. That's really what I want, is I want them to be empowered to answer their own question and do their job to the best of their ability. All of that to say, guys, I'm so thankful for you watching this. I know if you've never seen me before, I might be a lot, and I'm sorry. I'm just excited about what I do. And if you want to connect, you can definitely hit me up. My email is stephanie@serene-clean.com. My inbox is always open, guys. I forgot to put on my presentation here. Stephanie from Serene Clean on Facebook. You can definitely follow there. And I prefer if you message me there with questions. Don't message my personal Facebook because I just get so many that I don't want to miss anything. Whereas like my Stephanie from Serene Clean Facebook page, you will get a prompter response from me and I can stay organized. Because my life is chaos too, And then finally, if you are interested in purchasing the training bundle, I'll be sure that we have the link here for you. But go to serene-clean.com/consulting services, and you will find the training bundle as well as all of my other document bundles. Or if you want a one-on-one with me, if you're like, hey, I like what you're throwing down, you can book a consulting call with me. And I charge just per time. It's not any type of like locked in contract that you have. We can just meet. We can answer a ton of questions. As you can see, I can talk very fast and you will get a lot of value. I promise you that. And so many of you I've already had conversations with. So as always, thank you. I love you guys. You make my life so much more fun. And I just love the impact I can hopefully make on you. And obviously that wraps us up to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. If you want more of this kind of content where I go through very tactical, like how to do things, advice, as well as just funny stories, and really great conversations with other people in our industry, definitely go listen to Filthy Rich Cleaners on Spotify, on the Apple one, whatever that is, and then YouTube. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, leave questions and comments down below. I love hearing from you guys. And it's just been such a joy to have Filthy Rich Cleaners and connect more with you guys. So that about wraps up my Made Summit talk for 2025. Please let me know what you think, what questions you have. I'm sure I opened up 1,000 can of worms with this presentation, but I hope that it has been interesting to you. And go grab that training bundle. Again, Summit 100 will get you $100 off. And if you're like, I don't want to spend money on you, Stephanie, that's cool too. Email me and just say hello, and I will be happy to connect there too, guys. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you at next year's summit. Bye-bye.